And there we go. Good morning, my friends. How are you? Welcome to another edition of Behind the Mic with me, Mike Avery, here in the Outdoor Magazine radio studio to record this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show. My name is Mike Avery. Glad to have you along with us on a beautiful Wednesday morning. Cliff, good morning. There you go. Cliff, good morning. How are you? Nice to have you along with us. Cliff, one of our regular viewers, and I do certainly appreciate that. It is the Wednesday before the opening day of Michigan's firearm deer season coming up next Tuesday. Jerry, good morning. How are you? Nice to have you along with us as I get ready to record this week's radio show. Too hot in South Louisiana, eh? Judy, how are you? Nice to have you along with us. Billy, Kevin, Craig, my friend, how are you? Todd, good morning. Jim, Patrick in a deer stand this morning. Good place to be. John, Ray, Mike. Good morning, my friends. Hello, Bernie. Bernie's on the road this morning. My name is Mike Avery. This is another Behind the Mic. Right back at you, Cap. I am going to have a great day. Absolutely, I will. Kevin says walleye are snapping on the Detroit River. Robert, good morning. What's going on? Lots going on here in the Outdoor Magazine radio studio. Bruce, the Western UP. Good morning. How are you? Mike is hunting in Pinconning this morning. Cliff said the gas stations are selling lots of squirrel food. Baiting in Michigan, in the Lower Peninsula. That's an interesting topic, isn't it? Hey, my friend, good luck to you. Two of my really good friends here with us, Brent and Ross as well. Mike, what day is it? It's hump day. Ron said, a buck and a moon on the trail camera. Cool. Shout it out. It's hump day. Hump day. But it's not hump day for me. It's one of the best days of the week for me because I'm here in the Outdoor Magazine radio studio and I get a chance to talk about the things I love. Hunting, fishing, shooting, and trapping. And what is on people's minds here in the great state of Michigan right now? Oh, Brent's got to go. Deer coming in. Good luck, buddy. Good luck. Brad's cutting up his 9-point he shot Monday morning. Excellent. Nice day in Hesperia. It's a nice day, I think, across the great state of Michigan. Certainly this morning. Ruben, how are things in Colorado, buddy? Nice to have you along with us. I feel like I'm moving a little slow this morning, and I don't know why. There's no reason to be. I just feel like I am moving a little slow. Kevin, checking in from West Branch. We will be talking with Kevin here on the Outdoor Magazine radio show. Mike's going back to fishing. I'm going to turn the heat down in here. Feels like it's a little warm. Hey, he's back. I'm back. Carl, good morning. How are you? Keep it up, Ross. Keep it up. You'll be one of those guys banned from the page. As you know, I'm not afraid to do that. Davina, good morning. How are you? I didn't get a bear because Scott shot my bear. And for the next 2 years, he's going to hear about that. And so is Johnny Bowler. There we go. A little less headroom. Shall I tell you who's on the Outdoor Magazine radio show this week? I will be happy to do that. Kicking off the show, a man who is with us right now, Ross is, you're not going to let that go, are you, Ross? I have the ability to ban people from the page, and I don't hesitate to do it. Kevin Hannes of Rose City Deer Track and Hounds. Kevin is he's one of the pioneers of deer tracking here in Michigan, in my opinion. We're going to spend most of the opening hour this week. Then in hour number 2, we're going to talk about fishing with Bob Hines of Central Coast Angling. Then Mark Borson talking about bear getting ready to call it a season. Although we know that not all bear are in the dens yet, are they? In fact, I had some video here on the Facebook page of a bear dragging a deer carcass off the side of the road. And he was going to eat it, as he should, as Mother Nature says. Ron says, cut the corn. See, by me, Ron, the corn is pretty much down, which is great news for deer hunters, right? Nothing worse than those deer hiding in the standing corn. When they cut the corn, one place less for them to hide. John says he has a doctor's appointment this morning, but after that, he thinks he's going to go steelhead fishing. That's a pretty good thing to do this morning. I'm looking at the quality of the video here that I get out of the studio, and it doesn't match what I get at home. The quality in here seems to be a little not quite as good. Or maybe it's just me. It's just me. No, Pat, I was talking about the quality of the video, and I think it comes down to the internet speed here in the studio, which is not the best, right?
Not the best.
Yeah.
Not the best.
I mean, we'll take what we can get, but I do notice the quality I get at my studio at home is pretty fast. And so the quality seems to be a little bit better. Yes, Mr. Technology, it's bandwidth. Mr. Obvious. my fellow geeky tech brother. You say it looks, well, the video quality looks good. The subject is suspect. Lagging just a hair. John checking in from the middle of the mitten. 5G, Ron says. I got 5, and I'm not using a cell, though. Sometimes I tell you what, if I can get a good 5G signal, it's faster than Wi-Fi. So let's talk about deer hunting a little bit, shall we? Deer hunting, well, the firearm deer season coming up here in Michigan next Tuesday morning. Now, the guys here in the studio wanted to do a little time shifting, which, well, not really time shifting, just a couple of days earlier, which is fine. They said, hey, can we do it Monday or Tuesday? I said, we can do it Monday, but we can't do it Tuesday because I'm going to be in the woods. And I'm looking forward to it. I will be out there Tuesday morning with my Brenton 350 Legend, trying to knock a big doe down. Now, will I shoot a buck? Yeah, but it's going to have to be a pretty nice buck. Pretty nice buck. But I'm looking for a doe. So deer hunting here in Michigan. Will you unplug my...
Yeah.
There we go. Thank you, Pat. No problem. The background looks awesome, though, does it, Tim? Deer hunting has changed here in Michigan. I think we all know that. And deer hunters have changed. Ross says he's been seeing a few deer. We're not giving away any Michigan brand hams this morning, but we will tonight. Nothing he wanted to harvest. Hopefully a big. That's what I'm doing. Yeah, but it's going to be real warm between now and then. Michigan's meteorologist Mark Torregrossa said it was going to be a roller coaster, right? Up and down and up and down. Like this morning, it's beautiful. Tomorrow, which is when I'm going to be back in the woods, it's supposed to be 70 degrees. Although that's not really a problem, right? Because this time of year, the deer are going to be moving pretty much regardless of the weather. Where the problem comes in is what if you put a deer down? Like tomorrow, Thursday night, what if I put a deer down? It's going to be warm. Just going to have to take care of it a little faster. That's all. I will be happy, John. I say I'm not the one giving away the hams. Nick Grillo of Michigan Brand is, and I bet he's in the deer woods this morning. So I think deer hunting has changed a lot in Michigan. The opening day of the firearm season is not as big a deal as it used to be. Why? Because most of us have been in the woods hunting by the November 15th opener. Not the way it used to be in the old days. It used to be, man, you pretty much had to wait until the opener. Not so much anymore. But that's okay. Davina says, and Davina says, hunting has sucked the last 2 weekend trips, interrupted by a lot of shooting. Hate those single shots at dawn because I know what's happening. Yeah, that one single shot at dawn or right at dusk, right? Good morning, Jeremy. Nice to have you along with us on this edition of Behind the Mic. By the way, my name is Mike Avery. Behind the Mic is something I do here from the Outdoor Magazine radio studio pretty much every week. John says, you don't hear about deer camp much at all. Well, in certain circles, you don't, but not like it used to be. That's for sure, Tim. Uncle Johnny, how are you, buddy? I will see you Friday evening. Looking forward to it. Brad got his 9-point Monday, and he's staying out of the woods till next Tuesday. I get it. Oh, I got a text this morning. In fact, it was a Facebook message from one of our neighbors on the lease property that we have, and he said he shot a big buck, and they're out looking for it. Maybe we're getting old, Tim. Maybe you're getting old, Tim, but I'm not. Yeah, Johnny, we'll see the whole crew on Friday, won't we? And that will be fun. Good morning, Rick. How are you? Yeah, we don't hear about deer camp as much. I think hunters in Michigan, deer hunters, are certainly more knowledgeable than we used to be. I remember when I was a kid, I'd walk out in the woods and I'd see this thing on the ground where it was just bare dirt. I'm like, what is that? Or I'd see this thing on the side of a tree. What is that? We just didn't know. Ross is going to do his veterans deer camp every year. Ross, you're a good man. Davina says, I think we should implement a law similar to the ORV law during firearm season, but in bow season, you can't shoot. Well, there is technically, there is a quiet period in the Michigan woods. And I will be honest, Davina, I'm going to briefly violate that quiet period this evening. Now, technically it's wrong, but I'm going to go out tonight. I'm going to put one shot through that Brenton 350 Legend just to make sure that it's still on. Deborah, good morning. How are you? Hunter Joe says he's watching a young buck chasing in the backyard this morning. They are chasing now, aren't they? How has deer hunting changed? We're more knowledgeable. We have better tools. Bob Hughes, how are you, buddy? 2 RE20s. Only a broadcast guy would notice that. Yes, this is my social media microphone, and this is my official broadcast microphone. Hey, Nat, good morning. How are you? Did you ever make that phone call, or were you able to get in touch with the guy you were asking about? Vance. And Vance would know because he's out there every day. Vance says it was like a light switch flipped yesterday. Multiple really good bucks with does pinned down in big fields all around the farm. It's good to know, Vance. And Vance would know because when he's not hunting, he's out there on a combine. So he sees what's going on. Randy, good morning. How are you? Brian says they're heading up today to hunt with Mick Stearns and Joe. Mick. Oh, Mick, Chad's dad. Okay, gotcha. And Joe Cooley hunted with them the past 6 years. Yeah, I haven't seen Mick for a while. Tell those guys I said hello, will you? Good morning, Michigan Outdoor Obsession. How are you? Still seeing deer on Dowland. Yeah, and they're big deer, aren't they? Because you can't get to them. A lot more doe tags being used. Yeah, for sure. All right, Ross, go sell some of those GMC trucks. Davina, question. What would you choose? Okay. What would you choose, a Browning X-Bolt or a Weatherby Vanguard? I'm not the question to ask. Or I'm not the person that. Oh, I'm not plugged in, Pat, but because I'm going to be hunting with that Brenton 350 Legend. Now, I know that a bolt action is a good traditional deer gun. And so is a lever action. But I'm going to be using that Browning 350. A lot of new bucks on the trail cameras. Yes. And we're seeing that as well. Saturday during high temps and wind, then with the cooler temps and calm wind Sunday. They're deer. They do what they want to do, right? And our job as hunters is to try to figure out when and where they're going to be and how we can intercept them. You doing the show today, Pat?
I am.
You are. Excellent.
And also on Monday.
And Monday.
Charlie will take care of the last.
Just a lot going on next week, Pat. Is that what it is?
Yep.
I get it. You guys are you're burning the candle at both ends is one way of putting it. 12 gauge. Excellent. Yeah. 12 gauge with a double lock buck. I've killed more deer that way than with a rifle. All right. Thanks, Pat. Good morning, Mr. Dan. How are you? Deer guns in Michigan. That's an interesting topic, isn't it? I'll bet you that over the years in deer hunting in Michigan, there may well have been more deer killed with a 30-30 than anything. Of course, you can't rule out the old 30-06, right? Still an excellent deer gun. That 12-gauge slug is an excellent deer gun, especially for the swamps and southern Michigan. But now these days, with the ability in the southern part of the state to hunt with a 450 Bushmaster and a 350 Legend, they're getting lots of attention for sure. Good morning, Ed. How are you? I do have to admit, I do take a certain amount of pride when people call me captain. It's kind of a good feeling, right? Captain Jim. It's not my full-time gig, but it's nice to know that I do have that. I do have that title. Bruce, he loves his Remington 870 30-06. A lot of deer over the years killed in Michigan with a Remington 870-06. Tim says he just wishes his AR was as light as the 30-30. Ain't that the truth, brother? Rick says the 450 and 350 are game changers. They are. They really are. And I haven't killed anything yet with my Brenton 350 Legend because I wasn't able to shoot a bear with it because somebody shot my bear. And I'm just joking around about this, right? I mean, it wasn't my bear. So I'm not one of those people who say, you shot my deer or you shot my bear. But with my buddies, I can have fun saying, yeah, you shot my bear. But listen, I don't begrudge anybody shooting any legal critter. That's for sure. These guys got something going on out there. I'm not sure what it is. Ed says he loves his 450. He's taken 6 deer with it since he bought it. Excellent. 20 gauge slug. That's what I asked my grandson. Yeah, ask my grandson how ask my grandson how it was to kill something with that Brenton 350 Legend. It was pretty good, he says. And I'm enjoying the venison that he shot. Of course, he is too. 20 gauge slug. That's what I started hunting deer with. This is 20 gauge slug gun.
All right, about 1 minute.
About 1 minute. In about 1 minute, I will change my focus from recording this live stream here, this behind the mic, to recording this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show. On this week's show, I think I ran through. No, I didn't. Kevin Hannes of Rose City Deer Track and Hounds will join me in the second hour. Bob Hines of Central Coast Angling talking about fishing this time of year. Mark Borson, I did go through this. Mark Borson for the Michigan DNR with the topic of bears denning up. And then Mike Horswell of Jay Sporting Goods on processing your own venison. I had Mike on earlier in the fall, but it's always a good topic to talk about right now. 15. Okay. It is disappointing. Tim, you're right. Where'd Tim go? It's disappointing to have a big buck leave your area and get shot at the neighbors, but it's hunting, right? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off. Oh, one thing we didn't talk about, and we're not, but I'll just throw this out there. How'd the elections go for you? Just throwing that out there. All right, my friends, I'm going to change focus, as I say. And I'm going to record this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show. Now, you can stick around if you want and watch me record this first segment. And please, I would encourage you to join me tonight at 7 o'clock for another edition of Wednesday Night Live. We will be giving away another Michigan brand ham for the holidays. And this is something we will do. Davina, you said a bad word. Yes, you did. All right, my friends, I got to go. Talk to you tonight. Well, thank you, Ken Hunter, for that introduction, and welcome to another edition of the Outdoor Magazine radio show right here on the Outdoor Magazine radio network on more than 30 radio stations across the great state of Michigan. And so glad to have you along with us on a very, very big weekend here in the outdoors in the great state of Michigan. Why is it a big weekend? Let me think here. Okay, it's not. Oh, let's see. It's. I know what's coming up. Thanksgiving. Oh, no, that's not why it's a big weekend. It's a big weekend because this is the last weekend before the firearm deer season opener here in the great state of Michigan. Now, maybe not as big of a day as it used to be, but it's still a big deal. Now, I do remember when I was a kid, the first thing I'd do is look at a calendar because back then we had printed calendars, right? They weren't on your phone. There were no phones. Printed calendar. Okay. When is Christmas? That's the first thing I would look at. And then when's deer season open? That's the second thing I would look at. Because back then and back in the day, basically, deer season started in Michigan on November 15th. Because there weren't a lot of bow hunters out there. There wasn't the early doe season. There wasn't the youth hunt. There wasn't the independence hunt. And I'm not saying I don't like those early seasons. I think they're great. But in some ways, not in some ways, I think in a lot of ways, and bow season, of course, they do diminish the celebration of the November 15th opener of the firearm deer season. Because it used to be that's when the majority of hunters were able to get out in the woods. These days, we've been out bow hunting since October 1st. Youth hunters have been out there early. The independence hunt was out there in September, the early doe season in September. And that, again, that's fine. I don't begrudge anybody the ability to get out there and hunt deer because I've taken advantage of the bow season as well. But November 15th probably isn't the celebration that it used to be for many Michigan hunters. For me, growing up, it was a big deal. I remember as a kid, growing up in northern Kent County on the west side of the state, just the excitement before this firearm deer season was such a big deal. And we were blessed to live on a farm. And behind that farm was a great big piece of woods. And we were surrounded by farms and fields and woods. And back then you could roam and wander wherever you wanted because we knew all the neighbors. And most of them were farmers, not hunters. And they would pretty much let us hunt anywhere. There were a couple of people from the city, from Grand Rapids, who would come up and hunt with us. Usually deputies that my dad worked with. But one guy that I remember who was a baker in Grand Rapids, he owned a bakery. And when he would come up and hunt, he would bring a couple dozen donuts. And I remember that as well. I always look forward to that too. I, as a young hunter, could only use my single shot 20 gauge slug gun. I eventually graduated into other guns, but I had a single shot 20 gauge slug gun. And my goal was to shoot a buck. Not a doe, because back then we didn't shoot does. In fact, my dad would get doe tags and he'd rip them up so nobody else could use them. Man, how things have changed, right? I wanted to shoot a buck. And it didn't matter to me, really, what size buck. A year and a half old 4-point would have been a huge trophy. And to many people today, it still is. Deer hunting has changed in Michigan. It's not what it used to be. For one thing, I think hunters are far more knowledgeable than they used to be. I used to go out there as a kid and I'd see this thing on the ground, right? All the rest of the ground was covered with leaves, but there was this one circle right here that was all clean. It was down to bare dirt. I had no idea what it was. Honestly, I didn't. Now, granted, I was probably dumber than a lot of the other hunters out there, but this is my recollection of deer hunting. Or I'd see this thing on the side of a tree where the bark had been rubbed off the tree. I didn't know what it was. Didn't have trail cameras. Didn't have food plots. Of course, we had farm fields all around us. Hunters today are far more knowledgeable. We know about rubs, the thing on the tree. We know about scrapes, the thing on the ground. We know about scent. We know about communication. We know about the rut. We know about deer patterns. We have cellular trail cameras out there so we can keep an eye on the deer herd 24/7. So we have more knowledge. We have better tools. We have warmer hunting clothes so we can stay out there longer and be comfortable. We have guns that'll shoot longer distances. Like this year, I'm hunting with a Brenton 350 Legend. I love that 350 Legend. You know, I could take a deer out to 200 yards. I don't expect I will have to. My shot will be less than that. We have different tactics. We used to go out and sit at the base of a tree or in a brushed ground blind that we'd put up, a few days before the season. Didn't hunt on the tree stands back then. We'd sit for a couple of days. And if nothing happened, if we didn't get a shot at a buck, we'd do a deer drive. Deer drive. Remember that term, deer drive? Where a bunch of hunters would get together and say, you know what? We know there are deer in that cornfield, that standing corn, or we know there are deer in that swamp behind the house. Let's get them moving. And hunters would walk through that area and push the deer out, and somebody would sit on the other side and maybe get a shot at a buck running out of the swamp or out of the corn. And hunters' mindsets have changed. Not 100% across the board, but I'm talking about the and I hate this word, community, the group that is deer hunting in Michigan, deer hunters in Michigan. More and more deer hunters these days are holding out for bigger bucks. It's not for everybody. I get that. But statistically, it used to be that 90% of the deer shot during the firearm deer season were shot on the opening couple days of the season. And most of those bucks were 1.5-year-old bucks. And there's nothing wrong with that. But more hunters these days are into let them go, let them grow, quality deer management. And if you're into that, that's fine. God bless you. I'm not interested in shooting a 1.5-year-old buck anymore, just because I've shot a few of them. But I certainly don't begrudge another hunter from shooting a 1.5-year-old buck or a doe. I'm out there, realistically, doe hunting, because I don't believe that I will see a buck that I want to shoot that's going to run in front of me. And what would that be? I don't know. 2.5-year-old buck? 3.5-year-old buck? I don't know. But if a big doe walks in front of me, she's in trouble. We can't, though, fall into the trap of trying to put our guidelines or restrictions on what we're going to shoot on another hunter. That's where things have gone sideways these days, in my opinion. Just because we want to hold out for a bigger buck or a big buck doesn't mean that the hunter on the property next to us or the blind next to us has to do the same. Hunters should be able to and allowed to, and they are legally, shoot whatever legal animal they want without fear of being chastised or shamed because their animal somehow isn't up to our standards. Doesn't have to be. So I say, get out there, have fun, be safe, enjoy this tradition that is deer hunting, firearm deer season here in Michigan. Shoot whatever deer you want, as long as it's legal. And if you were excited enough about this animal to pull the trigger, be proud of it. And fellow hunters, enjoy, embrace, share that thrill with your fellow hunters. Don't judge them. Don't shame them. Congratulate them. I want to see your pictures. Send them to me in an email, mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com, mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com. Or post them on the Facebook page. Send them to me in a private message. Facebook is all screwed up, but send them to me in a private message and I will share them. Get out there, my friends. Have fun. Celebrate the hunt. Celebrate the tradition. Congratulate your fellow hunters. Be safe and enjoy it. We'll take a break. Lots more coming up this week right here on Outdoor Magazine. All right, my friends, I got to go. Have a good day. I will see you tonight, hopefully, 7 o'clock on my social media outlets where we will give away, we being Michigan Brand Meats and Nick Grillo, will give away another Michigan Brand ham for the holidays. Have a good day, my friends.